Good evening and welcome to the briefing room. I'm Madhavdas G. What began as a march to Parliament soon turned into a day of confrontation in the heart of the national capital. Thousands of CJP workers and supporters hit the streets under the banner of Sansad Chalo protest, demanding action on their key issues. But as the march advanced, ladies and gentlemen, tensions escalated rapidly. Barricades were breached, clashes erupted with security personnel, lathis were used to disperse the crowds, tear gas rounds were fired, and dozens of protesters were detained. Delhi witnessed hours of political chaos as the showdown between the protesters and the police unfolded on the streets. Let's turn the clock back to the start of the day and trace how a planned march to Parliament snowballed into one of the biggest political showdowns in the national capital. What began as a peaceful Sansad Chalo protest at Jantar Mantar gave way to this confrontation. As these supporters of CJP marched towards the Parliament, they ran into heavy police barricading, setting the stage for the first face-off with Delhi police. As the day wore on, tensions escalated rapidly. Protesters breached barricades in an attempt to continue their march, prompting the police to respond with lathi charge, followed by tear gas shells to push the crowd back. Police detained several protesters, halted the march at Raisina Road, preventing it from moving any closer to Parliament as well.
As you can see, the protesters and the demonstrators are trying to scale the barricade. You can see over hundreds of these protesters have moved from Jantar Mantar and are now trying to move towards Parliament. Delhi police personnel are carrying out a baton charge. The baton charge has been going on for past 2 to 3 minutes. The police, in fact, had made several announcements. Also, announcements were made by CJP leadership asking the protesters not to move towards Patel Chowk.
They came here to protest against the NEET paper leak, but the manner in which they have been pushed back by the Delhi police is certainly not something which they were expecting. And that too, multiple tear shells being lobbed on them is certainly which had triggered them more. We exactly don't know whether this information has reached to those protesters who have been sitting at Jantar Mantar or not. You can see the visuals that the protesters, once again, the tear shell chopping up. प्रदर्शनकारियों पे एक बार फिर से आंसू गैस के गोले चलाए जाने लगे हैं क्योंकि पुलिस कितनी भी कोशिश कर रही है, प्रदर्शनकारी यहाँ से हटने को तैयार नहीं है। इसलिए मजबूरन एक बार फिर से आप देखिए पूरा आसमान सफेद हो गया है क्योंकि आंसू गैस के गोले इस्तेमाल किए जा रहे हैं पुलिस की तरफ से। जिस तरीके से रायसीना रोड और रफीमार और इस महत्वपूर्ण गोल चक्कर यानी शास्त्री भवन के ठीक सामने की ये जो तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं।
The security has been beefed up at the main entrance of the Parliament. You can see that the QRT over here, they have taken the position given the fact that how exactly this particular gate is also closed. Now we know for a fact that students in hundreds and thousands of number have marched towards the central Delhi. As we speak, we can hear the tear gas shells being fired.
आपको दिक्कत होगी। During the protest and also in the scuffle that broke out, there are several vehicles that have been damaged. This vehicle, which is parked outside the LIC building, have been damaged. Who did this is still not being cleared. Sir, ये गाड़ी को हुआ क्या था? किसने डैमेज किया था?
वहाँ खड़ी थी, यहाँ बैनर लगे थे, पब्लिक चढ़ के उधर जा रही थी।
This person, in fact, is the owner of the car. He said that public was the one who, in fact, damaged the car.
You can see that these are the vehicles of Delhi police which has been completely vandalized by the CJP supporters. Now the forensic team is here at the spot. You can see the forensic team, the mobile crime branch team is here. The crime branch team right now is taking samples from these vehicles.
The van behind me is the Delhi police van. This van is basically used in places to transport the Delhi police personnel when they are on duty. But you will see on the main windshield there are 3 major dents. The 3 major dents are the impact of the stones being thrown at this particular windshield, and one of the stone is also currently lying on the front of this particular van here as well.
All right, now let's take a look at what the protesters were actually demanding. Here's a look at the charter of demands that was handed over to JP Nadda, Union Health Minister, by CJP Chief Spokesperson Saurav Das. First demand, immediate release of Wangchuk. Demand number 2, that the Dharmendra Pradhan, the Union Education Minister, he should resign immediately. Demand number 3, 1 crore compensation for NEET aspirants who died by suicide. Now, the CJP has also confirmed that their protests will continue not only until their demands are heard, but their demands are accepted.
देखिए 2 बार हम लोग जेपी नड्डा जी से मिले. हम लोग 12 बजे यहाँ पे आए थे एंड हम लोग की मीटिंग करीब 2:15 2:30 बजे हुई. एंड मीटिंग में हम लोगों ने यही बोला कि हमारे 3 डिमांड्स हैं. पहले कि सोनम वांगचुक जी को तुरंत रिलीज़ किया जाए एंड जब तक वो फॉर्मेलिटीज़ पूरी होती है उसमें उनको एक वीडियो बनाने का अलाउ किया जाए. वो वीडियो में यही हो कि वो अपील करे शांति बनाए रखने के लिए, लेकिन वो अभी तक हुआ नहीं है. नंबर 2, हमारा ये भी डिमांड है कि धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी का रेजिग्नेशन तो अब आना ही पड़ेगा. या तो उनको बर्खास्त करे कैबिनेट से या तो वो खुद रिजाइन करे. प्रोटेस्ट तब तक चालू रहेगा जब तक उनका रेजिग्नेशन नहीं आ जाता. और तीसरा, जो नीट के फैमिलीज है जो बच्चे मर गए हैं 20 से ज़्यादा, उन फैमिलीज को 1 करोड़ का मुआवजा मिले.
And now I was at the protest site myself near Delhi's Press Club on Raisina Road, which is just a few hundred meters away from Parliament, when police moved in to disperse the gathered protesters. As I spoke to several of them, they were alleging that they were beaten and manhandled despite insisting that the protest was peaceful. Take a look at this. So we are in fact right outside the press club as well as the Youth Congress office, and you can see in fact police moving in to detain these protesters at different locations. We have seen how there have been in fact protesters who have gathered in various parts of central Delhi, and we had one such protest which has organically come up in the sense that we have seen how police have removed the protesters from different locations. Time and again they move them. Hanji,
सर मेरे पर लाठी चार्ज कर चुके हैं सर पुलिस ऑलरेडी सर. सर हम पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे थे. पहले इन लोगों ने आंसू वाले गोले फेंके सर, उसके ऊपर लाठी चार्ज करी गई सर. मरने वाला था सर, मरने वाला सर पे मारे सर मेरे. सर मैं दिल्ली बुराड़ी से आया हूँ.
Some of the students who we're seeing over here, they've been now moved out of this particular arterial road. It's one of the main roads here, very close to Parliament. In fact, if you can see behind those trees, barely 200 meters from me is the new Parliament building and the entire complex of it. They've moved out of this, and in fact, several of the protesters you can see have been taken on board this particular bus as well. हाँ जी, क्या हुआ?
यहाँ पर नीट के आए हुए अभ्यर्थी यहाँ पर प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं और बड़े शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से कर रहे हैं. किसी ने भी कोई उपद्रव नहीं बचाया, किसी सरकारी संपत्ति को ठेस नहीं पहुंचाई. उसके बावजूद भी महिलाओं पे लड़कियों पे बल प्रयोग कर रहे हैं. यहाँ पर कई लोग हैं जो क्या नाम है लड़कियों को चोटिल हो चुके हैं, लड़के भी चोटिल हुए हैं. हमें शांति रूप से बैठे पड़े हैं. इनको सिर्फ इतना कहा कि आप किसी से धक्का मुक्की ना करें, तो उसके साथ गाली गलौज करके हम अंदर कर रहे हैं. तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, हम लोग डरने वालों में से नहीं है.
तो वापस आएंगे आप प्रोटेस्ट?
बिल्कुल आएंगे, नहीं बिल्कुल आएंगे. और जब तक हम बैठने वाले नहीं है, जब तक धर्मेंद्र प्रधान का इस्तीफा न ले लें.
Now, there are also doctors participating in the protest who had appeared for the NEET examination earlier. Their allegation is that the NEET fiasco is nothing new, and they claim it's becoming a recurring issue year on year.
हमने भी जब एग्जाम दिया, जब मैंने खुद अपना 2021 में एग्जाम दिया था, उससे पहले मैंने 2-3 ड्रॉप भी लिए थे. हर बार मेरा 5 या 10 नंबर से रह जाता था. तो मुझे लगता था कि यार ये कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. हर साल जो है इतनी रैंक इन्फ्लेशन हर साल इतनी हो रही है, जो रिजल्ट में डिसअपेरेंसी हर बार जो है बहस होती थी.
बात करते हुए उस तरफ चलेंगे, आप बात करते रहिए.
बहस होती थी हर साल, पर इवेंचुअली जो होता है, जो कहते हैं कि पारा बढ़ गया है और जब पूरा सब कुछ मटका फूट गया है, वो इस साल हमें देखने को मिल रहा है.
After a day of high drama in the national capital, the protest at Jantar Mantar has largely been cleared. With tensions still high and top officials holding key meetings, here's a report from my colleague Madhavdas Singh with the latest updates on ground.
We are outside Jantar Mantar. As you can see that the tent has now been torn, and most of those who had gathered here have also vacated the premises. Cockroach Janata Party have said that they have met JP Nadda, and they have also said that they hope that some kind of settlement can be achieved. The police on its part have said that protesters as well as police personnel have been injured. There is no official statement from both the sides, but police have said that they would be issuing an official statement when things are under control. Police have also said that Director of Intelligence Bureau, Home Secretary as well as Delhi Police Commissioner are presently meeting with Vijay Tanveer Bhavtosh Singh for Times Now in New Delhi.
But as this confrontation intensified, the violence was no longer confined to pushing and shoving. On the other side of the barricade, security personnel also came under attack. There are visuals which showed stones being hurled at police teams, with several personnel injured in the clashes. The unrest also spilled onto surrounding streets where vehicles were damaged, cars vandalized, and an auto rickshaw even caught in the chaos. Take a look at this.
पे लगी क्या मतलब रोक रहे थे आप? हम प्रोटेस्ट को रोक रहे थे, बैरिकेड के खड़े थे, सामने से पत्थर लगा दिए, पत्थर मार दिए।
सभी प्रदर्शनकारियों से अनुरोध है कि वे कृपया शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से प्रदर्शन करें, किसी भी गैरकानूनी या हिंसक गतिविधि में शामिल न हो और ड्यूटी पर तैनात पुलिसकर्मियों द्वारा दिए गए कानूनी निर्देशों का पालन करें।
And as they've been competing narratives that have been flooding social media through the day, Delhi police and CJP found themselves locked in a war of claims and counterclaims. What are we talking about? First, take a look at this claim of the CJP, that Dipke was picked up by the police. The Delhi police has come out to respond, saying that this is misleading and it's a false report. That's the first fact check coming in. They've also said that Dipke is available on the stage. The second claim, that police brutally cracking down. Now, Delhi police has responded saying that the protest was handled professionally. The third claim, a 12-year-old girl's head is broken. 40 to 50 other people have been hit on the head as well, is their claim. Delhi police's response is that this information is false. But it wasn't just the police who came under attack. Our own teams found themselves in the line of fire. Now, my colleagues from Times Now and Times Now Bharat were doing what journalists are just meant to do. Reporting from the ground and bringing viewers the facts as they unfolded. Yet, they became targets themselves. Our reporter Shifali was heckled, abused and surrounded by protesters, even kicked, simply for doing her job with a microphone in hand. What Jyoti Mishra went through was even more harrowing as the situation spiraled out of control. Delhi police had to step in and escort her to safety.
घेरा बनाया है हमें बाहर निकालने के लिए और मैं सर नीचे कर रही हूँ क्योंकि ये लोग पत्थरबाजी कर रहे हैं। क्या आप पत्रकारों को आवाज नहीं उठाने देंगे? पत्रकारों ने, हम जो इनके वाजिब सवाल उठाने आए हैं, मेरे कैमरामैन का हाल देखिए, ये तस्वीरें देखिए इनकी, पत्थर फेंक रहे हैं ये लोग हमारे ऊपर। ये भीड़ है, ये स्टूडेंट्स है, शेम शेम। ये देखिए
Now, if this violence wasn't alarming enough, some of the slogans and statements raised even more eyebrows. Listen in to one protester speaking about uprooting parliament and warning of a Nepal rerun. Meanwhile, opposition rallied behind the protesters. Lok Sabha leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, accused the government of treating them like criminals, insisting that they were merely demanding their rights. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav too came out in support, alleging that the government was unwilling to listen to the concerns that these young protesters were trying to raise.
The boys and girls who are walking the streets of Delhi are not criminals. they are demanding their rights. There's absolutely nothing wrong in what they're doing, and it's disgusting what the government is doing and what the police is doing.
हमारे सांसद एमपी लोग खुद उलझे हुए हैं, हमारे सांसद थाने में बैठे हुए हैं और बाहर बच्चों की पिटाई करी जा रही है। ये कौन सी सरकार है? ये कौन सी सरकार है जो सबका साथ सबका विकास की बात कर रही है? आप बच्चों की सुनना नहीं चाहते।
So that brings me to the big questions that we're asking in the briefing room tonight. First, could the protests have been managed better? Second, if the dialogue was on, why did the march then continue? Third, has politics now sidelined the students' issues, the core issues on which this protest started in the first place? Let's quickly bring in the next set of questions. There's also, of course, the larger question about whether CJP has completely lost control of its movement. Does democratic protest allow for such kind of violence to take place? Those are some of the questions that need to be answered, and quickly take this across to our guests who are with us. With us here in the studio, Shazia Elmi, national spokesperson of the BJP. Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate of the Supreme Court, is here with us. We have Arvind Kumar Jain, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. We also have Chitra Batham, spokesperson of Congress Party. Advocate Vandana Sinha, spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party. But I first and foremost want to go across to my colleague Shefali Nigam, who's with us, to just try and understand what is happening. No one has any problem with a peaceful protest. Anyone in this country has a democratic right to protest. But there is a certain basic decency that has to be maintained, of discipline that has to be maintained, that they do not turn violent. In that light, Shefali, I'd like you to answer what exactly happened while you were talking, and we saw that video. We saw you get very angry and shout at one of those protesters. What did they physically do to you?
So I was just doing my job at the protest site and was there to be on live at around 2 p.m. as I was informed by my desk. I was just right there, and that is when there were some people there, protesters there, who heckled me, who started heckling me, surrounded me and started sloganeering. I did not respond to them, as you can see in the video as well. And they were trying to block my camera visuals by, you can see the flag over my camera, so that the view is not clear what they were doing. Anyway, when the anchor started asking me a question, I was responding to the question, and that is when I saw that my video journalist, Mr. Vivek Sharma, was being heckled while he was being grabbed from his neck by his collar, and he was dragged behind, backwards. And that is when I told them that don't do this. And during that time, one of the person on my right kicked on my right leg. While I was confronting him, someone tapped on my head, hit my head very hard. And I'm so sorry, Madhav, that at that point, I think my cameraman also lost visuals as he was dragged outside the protest site. You don't have to be sorry. You're doing your job. This happens. I mean, I spoke to the camera person. He said that in the melee, he accidentally, hit the record button. So, the rest of the clip could not be recorded. That's unfortunate. But these things happen. And let me take this across, in fact, to some of our panelists who are with us. Let me start with Advocate Vandana Sinha. Advocate Vandana Sinha, are these the model of protesters that, your party has been supporting them? Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and several of your leaders went there. Even this morning, there was Sanjay Singh and others who were there. But can this kind of behavior be, accepted? Democratic protest does not include beating up others, does it?
Madhav, first of all, the government should protect this kind of right, not to suppress them. And if you are saying it is violent, who did the violence? First of all, it was the peaceful protest which has been started by the youth of the country.
Vandana Sinha, आप पार्लियामेंट के अंदर जाके क्या करने वाले थे?
Parliament.
What business do the protesters have entering inside Parliament?
What they have been doing for last 20 days? Why the government have not taken the accountability?
No, you protest wherever you want. What will you do inside Parliament? What do you expect the police to do? स्वागत करेंगे आपका पार्लियामेंट के अंदर.
फर्स्ट टाइम माधव शायद इस कंट्री में ऐसा हुआ है कि 20 डेज से 21st डे तक कोई भूख हड़ताल पे बैठा, एंड देयर इज नो डायलॉग फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट, एंड यू आर सेइंग कि वो पार्लियामेंट में क्या करने वाले थे? 20 दिन से पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा है, धरना चल रहा है, एंड दिस यूथ, और यू आर सेइंग दैट व्हाट द पुलिस डिड ओवर देयर. किसने स्टोन्स थ्रो किए वहां पे? किसने?
तो मैम वायलेंस करेंगे. इज वायलेंस द सॉल्यूशन अकॉर्डिंग टू यू?
I have seen you
बीटिंग अप रिपोर्टर को मारेंगे, गाड़ियां तोड़ेंगे, इस तरह पुलिस वालों को मारेंगे. Is this the solution for anything?
Madhav, the entire internet is flooded with the visuals जहाँ पे पुलिस बिल्कुल they have been
मैम वो आप मत डरिए. I will ask those questions. BJP is also here. They will answer all those questions. आप पहले बताइए, is this correct for the manner in which these protesters have behaved? Can you justify this behavior?
This is what I told you. There are various visuals which has been flooded in the internet where that youth were beaten brutally. Why the government has not initiated the dialogue for last 21 days?
मैम अगर आप पुलिस को मारेंगे जहां पे परमिशन नहीं दी जाती रैली के लिए, उसके बावजूद रैली करेंगे, so what do you expect the police to do? To give you a medal?
जब एक यूथफुल स्टोन से सबसे फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल माधव, ये स्टोन के जो क्वेश्चंस आए थे इन द वेरी बिगनिंग, सौरभ भारद्वाज एंड ऑल अदर लीडर्स स्टोन, ये जो स्टोन आया वो कहां से आया? Who has kept this?
Okay, मैम you have a problem with the police. रिपोर्टर्स क्या कर रहे थे बताइए? रिपोर्टर्स पत्थर चला रहे थे आप पे या किसी प्रोटेस्टर पे? रिपोर्टर्स को क्यों मारा है?
रिपोर्टर्स, आप एक तरफ की बात नहीं कर सकते
मैम. आप एक तरफ की नहीं, आप रिपोर्टर्स को क्यों मारा है बताइए? एक तरफ की, दो तरफ की बात नहीं है. The other side will also be asked questions. I'm not sparing anyone, but you answer what justifies beating up journalists doing their job.
No. What do you want? You want youth to be shut their mouth?
No, I want you to not attack journalists. Is that too much to ask for?
Brutally by the police.
मीडिया को मारपीट करके ही आप अपना बात पॉइंट प्रूव कर सकते हैं क्या?
और यूथ वहाँ पे मार खाएगा? आप ये चाहते हो कि इस कंट्री का यूथ मार खाए जैसे गवर्नमेंट?
तो पत्थर चलाओगे मैम तो you will not get any sympathy, nor are you going to get awards. But let me put this question across to Shazia Almi. Shazia Almi, the argument from opposition is this, that the police were the ones being high-handed. The police were the ones doing lathi charge and beating up brutally some of the protesters. And there are some videos which show how the police did those lathi charge as well. Can that be justified? And why did the police even let this happen? I can't understand. If on Saturday morning Mr. Wangchuk was detained, taken to the hospital, why could they not have picked up these protesters, say, last night?
So first of all, Madhav, I'm shocked and appalled at what the AAP spokesperson is saying. She obviously wasn't there. I was part of the Anna Hazare movement when all of them were against the Congress rule and they founded Damankari and fascist. Now it's the BJP government. So they have zero credibility. And the fact of the matter is we saw what was happening. You want to make India Nepal and you want us to be okay with it? Police was there and we've seen how cops have been beaten up. They were just doing their job. And you will lay siege to the parliament? You will say we'll uproot the parliament? Modi ki pitai karo? You're there on the stage and what are you saying? Sita ka pati hai, Nita ka pati on the stage. And what were you saying? Jab naam rahega Allah ka. What are you saying? Do you know when this song was made? For Pakistan against Ziaul Haq's dictatorship. Is this dictatorship? What rubbish are you speaking? हम क्या चाहते हैं? आजादी. किससे आजादी चाहिए? डेमोक्रेसी से आपको? संसद को उखाड़ देंगे? हिम्मत भी ना कीजिएगा. नेपाल बनाने की कोशिश ना कीजिए. This टुकड़े gang wants to disintegrate my country. We will not allow it. And Aam Aadmi Party is known for this anarchy. Shame on you. You were part of the Anna Hazare movement. I don't know whether you were. I was there and I know how Congress Party behaved and treated us.
Shazia, you know, some of those questions I have already addressed, but please answer the point. What was the Delhi police doing yesterday? Why did they allow this to happen? There was a Sansad Chalo march. That's not a state secret. Everybody knew that.
Yes.
Why could they have not acted before and prevented this from happening in the first
place? You know what these people would have said? That youth are not being allowed to go there. Police is being high-handed.
Nobody said
anything. No, they would have said that.
But
and
isn't that better?
We saved Sonam Wangchuk's life.
Exactly the point. Exactly the point.
They wanted him to suffer.
Exactly the point.
Just like they wanted Anna to suffer.
Exactly the point I'm making.
This is typical AAP.
Allow my question. If, you know, what you did as far as Sonam Wangchuk is concerned, as I asked you, on Saturday morning, if Sonam Wangchuk was detained, why could a similar thing not have been? Eventually, what happened today? You switched off the internet for 4-5 hours. That's what the Delhi police did at around 11 a.m. Again, maybe 5-6 hours too late. Later in the evening, Jantar Mantar was cleared. If all these things were not done by the end of the day, rather at the beginning of the day, perhaps this entire protest would not have spiraled out of control. Because look at what's happened. As a consequence of those lack of actions, the protesters have reached nearly the gate of Parliament. Shazia.
Yeah, it's totally appalling. And if Delhi police had acted earlier, this is what they would have said. Delhi police allowed them. And they were very responsible. They were the one who was escorting young girls there and reporters there. They were cameramen who were heckled. And it's just not your channel, Madhav, everyone else too. And how shamelessly were those girls behaving? And you will talk about uprooting the parliament? I mean, you will give the example of Nepal, and anybody will tolerate it.
No,
I think Delhi police has been very...
I don't think anybody is justifying that statement. That is a ridiculous statement to make. I completely agree with you. But the point is this: that the police allowed also to some extent the protest to take place. Had they, prevented these students from either arriving at Jantar Mantar.
Isn't that a decent thing to do? Isn't that what democracy is all about?
But it's spiraled out of control. There's intelligence. There's so many cops.
And they should answer for it.
Okay, Chitra Batam, if we had curtailed the protest, then it would have been stated that Delhi police and the central government is insensitive, is undemocratic. We allowed the protest, and the protesters are the ones responsible for the situation on ground. Please respond to Shazi Almi.
You're asking me, Madhav?
Yes, Chitra, question for you. Please respond.
So basically, Madhav, what we saw today in central Delhi was a complete failure of this autocratic government. For past 23 days, this thing has been brewing. And for past so many months, this entire anger has been brewing in the minds and in the heads of the youth of this country. And the Congress party also from the forefront has been leading this respective protest or supporting the youth or raising the voice of the youth and demanding the arrest of the minister who's responsible for all these mishaps. So I believe that this government is totally failed in understanding the sentiments of the youth, the manner in which the brutal force that was used against our youth, so many heads broken, so many bones broken, no medical help was given.
That's
to them.
A lie.
That
is a lie.
Okay, how many people have been hospitalized?
You have videos. Go and watch them, Shazi Almi, if you claim.
You're lying. You're lying.
Okay, one moment. Okay, one second. Chitra, may I ask you a simple question? One second. Calm down. Just a second. Please calm down. Chitra, I have a simple question to ask you. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has today put out a statement. Mr. Pawan Khera went to Jantar Mantar 2 or 3 days ago. Sonia Gandhi also put out a statement. But where was the Congress party for 20 days? If you feel so strongly about this issue, about the Cockroach Janata Party, about the issue of NEET, which your party themselves have raised, why were you not present at Jantar Mantar for 20 days, ma'am?
Our representatives have gone over there and we have always, watched the situation.
2 days ago you went. That's my question.
We did not want to feed, thoughts to anti-national elements, anti-social elements, and which is why we have been very cautious about the manner in which how to approach this entire scenario.
No, but if it's an issue you feel so strongly about, why not support it?
Across India, Chhatron Ki Goonj is the event that Rahul Ji has been organizing across India. He's been raising.
Ma'am, why not go to Jantar Mantar? You've still not answered that question.
I said our representatives have been over there. What else do you want?
That's what I'm saying. 2 days ago they went. What were they doing for 20 days is my question.
We were watching the situation. We were leading the youth on our
watching
own
the
ground
situation.
As well.
What is it
we
to
were
watch?
the ones who started this. You must not forget it. We were
what
the
about
ones
today, ma'am? Today also you were watching the situation?
The question of the NEET paper leak issue.
Today also were you watching the situation? And is that why we saw the violence spiral out of control? Because opposition parties finally came into it? Whether it's AAP, SP, etc.
You think law and order is in our hands? You think law and order is in our hands?
Well, preserving law and order is in the hand of every citizen. Yes, it's the state's responsibility. I completely concede that. But I think it's the duty of every citizen that's protesting to not let it spiral out of control and the scenes that we saw today be repeated. But let me bring in Ishkaran on that. Ishkaran, is a law and order in our hands? That's the statement coming in from Chitra Batam. Please respond to that.
Yes. Madhav, we are at a very dangerous time in our democracy, and please allow me to make 4 points. Firstly, what we saw today, I fear, is a perfection of a model which started from Shaheen Bagh, where Pakistan had a strategy of bleeding India by 1,000 cuts. This will be a strategy of bleeding democracy by 1,000 protests in various states. Mark my words, in the coming days, out of various reasons, one not related to other, you will see various BJP states having such protests. The point number 2 is, because we saw in Jantar Mantar, why is it sensitive? Education and paper leak is a genuine issue. But I have been telling people legal consequences if some students get influenced by these political protests backed by leftist NGO system. अगर आपका चेहरा कैमरा में आ गया और आप genuine student हो, आपके ऊपर FIR हो गई, what is the consequences of that for you giving a government exam, for you getting a passport, for you getting a visa, that will put a genuine student's career in darkness. It will not be possible to get jobs. That is the reality. Does a politician suffer? A politician does not suffer. Do you ever see a politician's child leading the protest on the day of who mock Hindu gods and goddesses? They come when it's safe. Do you see them leading the protest which they know can turn violent? Because that will have serious consequences. So they all escape on the D-Day and they put either party workers, leftist organization, that entire network, or some genuine students who come under the influence of the propaganda they propel. So believe you me, it's dangerous times. Third aspect, the government also needs to wake up, because we have Instagram, we have algorithms where people with 1,000 followers suddenly on this issue get millions of views. And not one, multiple of them. And there are plans. There are US officials on record saying we do not want India to become the next China. There are officials saying that India is doing hard bargaining. Do you think Nepal, Bangladesh, all these things happened by accident? And there are protesters there. Last point, which is very important. There are protesters there openly saying we want to make India and Nepal. Now, what was Nepal? A violent protest. We want India to become a Bangladesh. What was Bangladesh? A violent protest that led to deaths of so many. We want to ukhad fenko the parliament. How does that happen? Is the police supposed to let them come, attack the parliament, ukhad fenko the parliament, and sit pretty? So there are going to be consequences if you try to attack the parliament.
I think there are some very important points that you've articulated there. And let me take some of those questions across to Mr. Jain, because as somebody who served at the highest level of the police, Mr. Arvind Kumar Jain, I want you to answer these questions. Somewhere or the other, at a time when there are social media algorithms that can potentially be misused. Nothing over here to, in fact, conclusively prove that there is some foreign hand in these protests. I'm not going to go down that road. But yes, we have intelligence, we have police forces. They are equipped to, handle such situations. They have mechanisms to prevent the law and order from spiraling out of control. How could it have gone so horribly wrong, sir, that a police was completely caught unawares today?
It is sheer hooliganism and nothing else. This is being planned by opposition parties in Delhi, and they are playing with fire, in my opinion. Bringing children on the streets and then indulging in brickbatting and all these sorts of activities, leading march to parliament. They know it very well that police will never allow them to enter parliament. This is not Nepal. This is not Sri Lanka. You can't indulge in violence like this. And if you will raise hand on a policeman, if you will throw stones at them, if you will injure them, then naturally there will be backlash from police side. I don't know, in hindsight, you can always say that police could have managed it in a better fashion. I cannot comment on it because I have not gone into details. But naturally, some protests are allowed, and it is part of democracy. But nobody expects that crowd will swell to this level. And senior leaders, they are jumping barricades. You can see it. And they are instigating others. This is not done. And behaving like this in national capital is not done at all. And in my opinion, action should be taken. So many IPS officers have been injured. So many vehicles have been vandalized. This is not acceptable, and police will have to deploy forces in sufficient numbers to keep a check on these people. Hooliganism is going on. So many.
Let me bring in some of the opposition parties that you mentioned. In fact, Vandana Sinha, you should answer that. Here is a former DGP of Uttar Pradesh who's saying that this is nothing but sheer hooliganism. And if members of parliament, senior leaders, we saw those pictures of your party's leaders this morning jumping barricades, etc. If they are going to do this, that's a clear, dog whistle for all the other protesters to follow suit. And you're playing with fire because you're playing with the lives and the future of these students at the end of the day. That is the concern being expressed, Vandana Sinha.
First of all, Madhav, just do let me know whether any illegitimate demand from the CJP, any illegitimate demand from that Sonam Wangchuk. Don't you see that this government
nobody is questioning your protest and the demands. The method of protesting, engaging in violence is what we are discussing here.
I want to show you this picture, Madhav, how they have been beaten brutally. And I want to ask from Sajia Ilmi, since 2014, since 2014, 152 paper leak was okay. The life of 17 children has been taken. It was okay.
Ma'am, this is what Mr. Jain is saying. This is what he is very clearly responding to. He's saying if you beat the police, you don't expect them to do nothing.
And I want to ask you, ma'am. Dharmendra Pradhan took responsibility. My party took responsibility. But I want to ask you, where were you, ma'am, in 2006? CBSE Class 12 accountancy paper. Who was the Prime Minister? Manmohan Singh. Where were you, ma'am, when All India Engineering Entrance Exam happened in 2007? Where were you when PMT exam was? I won't be able to speak.
Okay, you can drink some water in the meanwhile. But yes, that's a question. That in the past there have been paper leaks. We have not seen this kind of a mobilization. The point being made over here, I'm going to give her a minute to drink some water. But respond to that, Vandana Sinha, because the point being made over here is that this kind of violent protest, yes, students might be angry. Yes, their demands might be justified. But the point being made here is one has to maintain composure while doing or engaging in these kind of protests.
So who maintained the peaceful protest, Madhav? Who brought these lathis? Students?
Whether the students not break the barricades?
Whether the students were...
Did students not jump over the barricades today?
Who? No, what do you want? You want the students...
That they maintain their discipline. No, when the rally is not given permission by the police, they listen to the police.
No, I'm not supporting you in this. The student...
Why? The rule of law? Is there no rule of law in the country?
The student...
Can you protest without police permission, ma'am?
It was okay.
No, can you protest without police permission?
It was okay when the Sonam...
Ma'am, can you protest without police permission? And did they not jump the barricades despite the police telling them not to?
Police protection is one thing, but beating brutally to the youth is not the good thing. It was totally against the law. The government is totally failed to protect this constitution.
And what would you have done? If these 10,000 people had entered parliament, what would you have done? Recreate Nepal?
Of course not. They have not crossed the limit. It was police.
They have not crossed the limit. That is the question. What will 10,000 people do there, ma'am?
You want to attack the parliament?
One second. Is parliament the place for members of parliament or for the public to go and start protesting on every issue?
They have been doing the peaceful protest. It was police officers. They started...
Okay, Ishkaran wants to respond to you. I'm going to let Ishkaran come in. Ishkaran.
Just one point. We talk about democracy in United States. Does anybody remember Jan 6, 2021, when protesters tried to storm their government buildings, their parliament? The police shot. One died by a gunshot and 3 others died. 1,500 were criminally tried and charged, and the cases are going on. Some of them have been convicted. No democracy can allow you to attack the parliament or the Senate or the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, as the case may be. So when you give examples of what should happen in democracy, how US police deals with people breaking the law, you can all see the videos on internet, how they use lethal force. So please do not keep attacking the police. If you march and you openly say we want to destroy parliament, ukhad denge, Nepal create karenge, then law authorities have to use force, and this was the least possible force which could have been used to protect the parliament.
Chitra, respond to that. No democracy will allow for this kind of a violent act against its own seat of democracy, its own parliament, whether it's the United States, whether it's India. Why should that be tolerated here, ma'am?
But on the same hand, I would like to ask to Ishkaran that why were the sentiments of the students allowed to be tested for so long, and why no accountability was taken into consideration? It's so simple.
I will answer, ma'am.
Why was so intelligent? Why?
Are you saying these protesters should have been allowed to enter parliament? What is the argument? One second.
I will answer, I have no problem.
Are you saying the protesters should have been allowed to enter parliament?
I will answer, Madhav. I can answer. Madhav, I can answer.
So that's what the police were doing, preventing them from entering parliament.
At the same time, I'm saying that there would have been better ways in which this entire situation
better
would have
ways,
been
like you use in Nirbhaya Andolan. Those were the better ways. Nirbhaya Andolan and Anna Hazare. You telling us about better ways.
Today's event completely lies with the government. The government is a failed government. It is not able to protect
Ishkaran.
To answer this.
All right, we've heard you. Ishkaran, please.
It's okay, it's a failed government or it's a... Madhav, I want to answer this.
Ishkaran, go ahead.
Madhav, I want to answer this. Madhav, See, immediately, as soon as I pointed out what United States of America did when you attacked its seat of power, including shooting, see the goalpost change. Emotion should have been respected. Everybody respects the emotion of a student. Everybody feels bad. But if you weaponize it, to use it to attack the parliament, then police is duty bound to stop it, or they would all be suspended, and in fact action should be taken if the police does not stop you from attacking the parliament. It's their duty. So why did you want to attack the parliament? Did you not say parliament ko attack karenge? Did you not say parliament? Madhav, I want to finish my point. Madhav,
okay, one by one. Chitra, you can respond to him. I'm going to allow him to complete his point and then coming back to you, Chitra. Ishkaran first, please. Yes, one by one.
Yes. The minute you say पार्लियामेंट को उखाड़ के फेंकेंगे, पार्लियामेंट को अटैक करेंगे, हम पार्लियामेंट में घुस जाएंगे, हम नेताओं को मारेंगे, every democracy has to act, and that is why you change the goalpost. After I gave the example of what United States did, 1,500 people have been tried, and I feel bad for genuine students who, if they indulged in those protests and became violent, they will face the consequences. आप लोग तो टीवी डिबेट्स करोगे और 2-4 वोट और ले लोगे.
Chitra, that's a very, very serious concern because political parties may gain from this politically. But if students end up having cases, end up having to go to courts, it's their life that is destroyed. Yes. Isn't that a fair argument? Chitra?
I couldn't hear your question.
The point he's making is at the end of the day, the political parties will come and score their brownie points politically. They may benefit, they may not benefit. You know, that's as far as the political parties and their future is concerned. But the lives of these students are at risk. If tomorrow there are police cases, criminal cases that are filed against these individuals, you know, their life could be spoiled.
That is where the manner in which the Congress party has raised this issue so responsibly and so sensitively, you should actually applaud the events that we are actually, you know, going across the nation.
This is a small point.
Ma'am, attacking these jeeps, is that something to applaud? Attacking these police vehicles, attacking reporters, a reporter is sitting here. Are you going to justify these attacks as well? Is that a sign of restraint?
Madhav, if you allow me.
I will allow you to come in, Shazia, but I have a question as well. I think one point though, which all of these people have been raising, the opposition parties have been raising, is this. Today, Mr. JP Nadda met the CJP members. The question is, for 20 days or even say 5 days ago, had he met them, perhaps things would have not come to this head. Shazia.
So first of all, the moment there was a request to meet him, he not only met them, he listened to them in a very cordial and a pleasant manner. But this was not to happen. And Chitra, who's screaming and shouting right now, Chitra, what right did Congress party have to beat up protesters? I was beaten up during Nirbhaya Andolan, during Anna Hazare. So you are talking, and what did Rahul Gandhi say? No, be quiet, ma'am. I want to quote your leader's words. Rahul Gandhi said that no protest can dictate to the parliament. You have changed. You have flip-flopped. Just like up. How? I mean, no. No hypocrisy. It was Rahul Gandhi, it was all the ministers, whether it was Salman Khurshid or even Pranab Mukherjee at that point of time. What did they say? The protest cannot dictate to the parliament and to the executive. These were Rahul Gandhi's words. Today you're asking for Lokpal, tomorrow you'll ask for something else. You're laying siege to the parliament.
Okay, and let me just come in on this. Advocate Vandana Sinha, I want you to see these pictures. These are pictures from the state of Punjab. Just look at this. What is the police here doing? These are state employees whose salaries have not been given. They are being brutally beaten up by the police there, ma'am. Why this double standard in the national capital then?
There is no double standard, Madhav.
What is this visuals? Is that not your party's government there, the state government in Punjab?
The scenario, the situation can be different.
Why is it different? What is the difference? The principle is of protesters. If these protesters are justified in their cause, those protesters also justified.
This is what I am telling here. The youth demanding for last 20 years. So 20 days, the Sonam Wangchuk was on the hunger strike.
Ma'am, these are peaceful protesters sitting in protest. Why is your police then attacking them? Why is they being lathi charged? Please, can you justify that?
You cannot divert the argument.
Forget divert. I am saying there's hypocrisy everywhere. Whichever state government it may be, whichever police it may be, it doesn't matter. But the point is, when you come here and you have one moral standard for Jantar Mantar and these protests, then you should apply the same in the states where you are ruling.
Each and every case has a different circumstance.
What is the different circumstance? Tell us.
Of course it is. The youth is demanding.
Ma'am, लाठी से जब पुलिस वाले मारते हैं ना, उतना ही दर्द होता है. Whether it is Kerala or Kashmir.
having a legitimate demand, and the government is not even.
So are these protesters illegitimate? Salaries demand karna illegitimate hai?
Every protest has a different scenario. And
what is the different scenario? Tell us. What is different? Your government didn't provide these government employees with their salary, and they are protesting. Is that illegitimate according to you?
Why the government has given this opportunity to this youth? Why the government has not came for last 20 days?
Ma'am, आपने salary क्यों नहीं दिया? आप बताइए. आपको facts, you are saying facts are different. Tell us why didn't you pay them their salary?
आप argument को divert करके देखिए.
कुछ diversion नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैम, मैं same yardstick दिखा रहा हूँ, आपको आईना दिखा रहा हूँ. जो आप यहाँ पे एक expectation कर रहे हैं इन सरकार से. And let me bring in Mr. Jain on that. Mr. Jain, you know, political parties have very short memories and it's very convenient. They forget the context of what they have done in their own parties and their own states where they are ruling. And these visuals coming in from Punjab are just testimony to that.
I have seen this for 36 years in a volatile state like Uttar Pradesh. I know it very well. When people are in opposition, they talk of morals and other things. When they are in power, they ask police to take action against protesters. So this has been going on, but the way people behave today, you can see how the protesters are unarmed teachers are being lathi charged in Punjab. Now the spokesperson of AAP will remain mum on this. Unnecessarily creating chaos in national capital when the parliament is in session. This is not acceptable. You can't choose a set of reporters that only they will report, and the reporters who are doing fair reporting, they will be barred from doing it. They will be attacked. This is not acceptable. I have not seen it. I have not seen it anywhere else. This was happening for the first time. I am seeing that these correspondents are being heckled because they are doing their job. This is not. This you can't enforce. You are protesting on some issue. I am told that protesters from JNK also joined for revocation of this thing.
Yeah, that was a separate protest. I was told Omar Abdullah also, in fact, had a separate protest, but we'll have to leave it there. We'll have to leave this. All right. And just look at this. Chitra Patham, actually, you should answer this. This is Omar Abdullah, who was sitting in an auto rickshaw and left. Why wasn't he supporting? He had also come to protest for his state issue. He's your ally.
So?
Ma'am, where were you? Your allies have come to protest. But where was the Congress party?
No, the Congress party has supported the national conference in this respective protest. I think you need to check your facts correctly.
I don't see anybody in that auto, at least from the Congress party. I only see National Congress members.
Just because they're not in the same auto, that doesn't mean that we have not supported them. We have supported wholeheartedly, and there's an official statement out that we have supported National Congress in its respective demand for J&K statehood. It's a very legitimate demand. Obviously.
It's a legitimate demand, but actions speak louder than words. Intent is fine, but are you there on ground? From Jantar Mantar to this protest, there are questions.
That was instigated.
Is there any son or daughter of a Congress leader who was there?
Okay.
Bearing the brunt of this?
All right. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. I think this is a debate. We've seen a very, very ugly scenes play out in the national capital. We certainly hope this kind of violence does not happen again. While the students may be completely justified in their anger, whether it's NEET or any other issue that they have faced, the point is, can we allow for this kind of violence to take place, and that too so close to our parliament? We'll have to leave it there. Shazia Ilmi as well as Ishkaran Bhandaria, Arvind Kumar Jain, Chitra Batham, Advocate Vandana Sinha and my colleague Shefali Nigam for joining us and for maintaining your composure through adversity. Thank you so much for joining us all tonight.